All right, this is Matt and David. We're here to talk to you about what happened June 13th at the Mezzanine. We were in our third week series of One Summer, One Salvation. The message is actually called The One Thing. And last night was about being the light of the world. How do you take, all the stuff I said last night, and I said a lot, but how do you take that and apply it to your life right now?
Applying it to my life right now. Well, first thing is it really shook me when you were saying how picking up the flyers. There's a point in the sermon and the message where Matt spoke on picking up flyers, how that wasn't what we're talking about, being the light of the world. It really shook me at the little unnamed stuff that I really needed to start doing stuff that Christ asked me to do, or Christ asked all of us to do, on His behalf, as followers of Jesus Christ, as believers in Him. That really shook me up. That really kind of hit me hard, because I was like, oh wow, I can't just be this little behind the scenes fairy godmother of good deeds. I've got my good deeds have got to actually go before me and before men. I don't know if that really directly answers your question.
Well, yeah, how do you be the light of the world? Well, one way is not, you're saying you can't just do stuff anonymously and never let them know why, or never speak up and say, hey, I'm doing this because I love God.
Well, me and my wife went for a walk the other night down there at Cocoa Beach, and I noticed there's all this trash all over where several of the bus stops were, and I thought about the light of the world, and I was like, wow, if I just picked this stuff up, I could throw it all away. But it would change everything if I told somebody, you know what, I'm doing this for Jesus. Or I'm doing this because really, you know what, God put this on my heart, but I just got, a loving God that would send His Son, like Christ. And I really put a name to it. And I was like, wow, that would change the entire face of what I was doing.
Or you could take the garbage and just spell Jesus with the garbage.
You could do that.
See, what I was saying is not, when you get that little thing to say, hey, why don't I pick up the trash? That's not the point to not do those things. That's not all you need to do, right, is pick up the garbage. You have to step it up a notch. In fact, personal example, I overheard a waitress just saying how she got stiffed on a couple tips. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to give her a really good tip. And I did. And I didn't say anything to her. This was right after the message I preached on, if you give somebody $100 and you don't tell them why, it makes no difference if you're a Muslim, a Wiccan, or a Christian. They don't know. They don't care. It's $100. It's $100. And I just flat out, I had a perfect opportunity when I gave her a good tip, because she went, oh, wow, thanks. Like that. She was relieved because she got stiffed 2 tables in a row. I got a chance to actually eat at the same restaurant 2 days later. It was just kind of like a chain, like one of those coincidence things. I saw her again, and I actually approached her and I said, hey, do you remember me the other day? And she's like, oh yeah, I remember you. And I said, I know that you remember my tip because you responded with wow, thanks. She's like, oh, I totally remember that. I said, the reason why I did that is because there's a love of God in my heart for you. And I feel bad when people get tipped terribly as a Christian. I want to be the standard for giving. That's basically what I told her. And it was really good. It kind of blew her away for a second, but she was just like, wow, thank you so much. And she started talking about God to me, and I could tell she wasn't a Christian. But she knew a friend of mine who was a Christian who comes to our church, and it was an opening kind of thing. That's the kind of stuff that being the light of the world is. Any other? What are you thinking, man? What else you got to say?
Man, one time I was actually at a gas station, and I've been praying. I had an unexpected bill come in, and it was more than I had. And I was just like, man, Lord. And I wasn't unsaved, and I wasn't. Like a lot of times with people, when they do a salvation message or they do an outreach for people, they usually aim for the unsaved. And that's cool or whatever. But I knew, Christ as my Lord. But this lady walks up to me and she goes, you know what, God really placed this on my heart for you to have. She gave me an envelope right there at the gas pump. And she turns and walks away. She said, God placed this on my heart for you to have. And you saw, the Z88 sticker as she drove away. And I was just like, I didn't. I, matter of fact, I was so shocked I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I would have been rude to even open it up in front of her.
Right.
So I didn't. I just got back in my Jeep Cherokee and I sat down, and I was like, okay. So I opened it and it was $100. And I would not have known the difference if she was just a nice person or what. It was just like that. What you said. It was actually at the Little Champ on Knoxville Crane, Titusville, Florida, where that happened, and it just blew my mind right there.
That's really cool.
And so when you were preaching last night, I started thinking to myself, I need to be the light of the world to people. I need to tell them why I'm doing this, why this light's coming out of me, because I could even be refreshing Christians that might have lost the steam or might have lost, that fight or that drive in them. Like life's worn them down, and that worry and that stress has worn them down. That just to have another Christian like a brother in arms come up and be like, you know what, here, man, I'm just doing this just for the one who loves us the most. It's so refreshing. It really boosted me that day.
You know what you're doing? I just realized this as you were talking, is you're giving credit to God. So that when you walked away, you thought, wow, God, thank you for doing that for me. And you knew that God was working through somebody and could hear your cry and hear your needs. And that's what we're doing as Christians. We're telling people that it's not me, it's not you, it's God that cares about you, and He's doing it through me, and I'm a part of that. And that's really the encouragement. Really this is for the life group leaders at Mezzanine, but if anybody else is hearing this, man, we really want to encourage you to be the light of the world, as it says in the Word, like Jesus was the light of the world.